Part 108. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi-Sing Cao. Chapter 1073. 1071. The Snake King came over on a business trip and received news from Little Spin Turtle that something was wrong at home. He was a little worried and came here to ask if he could help. Cousin, do you need me to take action? Snake King whistled. He was wearing famous brands and looked like a fashionable upstart. He was handsome and graceful. Tian shook her head and said, "It's okay, you don't have to worry." "Thank you for your kindness, Snake King." "You really don't need help," Snake King asked again, "you don't have to be polite with me. After all, I'm here to eat and drink for free, and I've survived the unhappiness." "Haha, I really didn't see it. You are quite enthusiastic." Huo Yingzhi smiled. "It's really okay, I will handle it if anything happens. These are just some human battles, and do not require the intervention of unnatural forces. Besides, my father is innocent, and we are also innocent, and the truth will eventually come to light. Since you don't need it, forget it," the Snake King said. "If you need it in the future, just tell me. By the way, I have made a lot of money. You can use part of it to do good things, and the other part can help I invest." Tian smiled and said, "I guess you have to wait for a while, at least until this matter is finished. After all, there are a lot of accounts now, and with your money, it becomes even more chaotic." Okay," the Snake King said, "I'll figure it out myself, and we'll talk about it later." "I still have to thank you," Tian said gratefully. "You have been working very hard recently, so please rest early." After the Snake King left, Tian and Huo Yingzhi looked at each other and smiled bitterly. "The Snake King is pretty good," Tian said, "although he is still so arrogant. I really like him." "Haha, I have also changed my view on him, and now I am willing to exchange some cultivation methods with him." Huo Yingzhi smiled. "By the way, you seem to be able to practice now, but I have never seen you practice before. What are you cultivating?" "I just want to live this life well." "I'll talk about the next life in the next life," Tian said. "I practice and can live for many years, but my children are ordinary people. I want to be ahead of them in the future. I don't want to see them walking in front of me." Tian has experienced other pains and is not afraid of them, but this kind of pain makes Tian scared just thinking about it, so she chooses not to practice. It would be nice to live a peaceful life like this. Huo Yingzhi was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, "Okay, I'll accompany you." He vaguely guessed that his wife was like this. At this point, he didn't force Tian, and he wanted to be like this, so he didn't practice. However, the magic power in his body did not stop growing because he didn't practice. Is this an unexpected surprise? Do whatever you want and let everything take its course. The next few days were uneventful. Tian knew that this was the calm before the storm. She was ready and waiting for the investigation team to arrive. Another week later, as soon as Tian finished training and changed clothes, Zhu's Hitao brought 2 people from the Discipline Inspection Commission over. "Tian, these 2 people said they have something to do with you. There is an office over there. You can go there to talk." Zhu's Hitao was a little worried. He didn't know how the Discipline Inspection Commission found Tian. Although he believed that Tian was not a criminal, he still felt a little uncomfortable being targeted by these people. Tian smiled and said, "Thank you, Coach Zhu, let's go to the office to talk." "Okay." Director Guo smiled very kindly. The 2 of them followed Tian and went to Zhu's Hitao's office. The 2 people showed their work aids. After Tian read it, he said, "Okay, if you want to ask anything, just ask. I will tell you everything I know and will cooperate with your work." Xiao Lu beside him took out his notebook and started taking notes. Director Guo said softly, "First of all, please excuse me. We are just doing routine business and came to ask some questions. Okay, please ask. Director Guo He Tian has a lot of attitude and a very stable mood. We want to know, is your business related to Huo Jekan? Director Guo asked, getting straight to the point from the beginning. He Tian listened and replied, we are a family and have a certain relationship, but it is personal and does not involve my father-in-law's official business. Furthermore, the business is all in my name and I am investing. Doing business. Nowadays, the country encourages people to do business, and my maternal grandmother is a wealthy overseas Chinese businessman, so I am very good at doing business. After hearing what He Tian said, Director Guo nodded in agreement. Yes, we have already investigated these information. However, in order to explain the source of your family's huge wealth, we still have to investigate carefully. Please understand Director Guo is very polite. Let's not talk about He Tian. He Tian's background, and He Tian's current status as a gold medal athlete, they can't have a bad attitude. Now the sports industry is a good opportunity to showcase country H to foreign countries, especially next year's Olympic Games, which has high hopes. He Tian nodded and said, this is what it should be. Since someone has reported it, we must find out. Whatever you need me to do, I will try my best to cooperate. Xiao Lu kept recording in his notebook and said nothing. Thank you, Director Guo said, we would like to check the relevant accounts, is that okay? He Tian thought for a while and said, it's okay to audit the accounts, but the investments I have are not only domestic but also foreign, so I will ask my lawyer to cooperate in auditing the accounts, is that okay? It was good to cooperate with the audit, but she didn't want the matter to go unsolved. Since someone has reported it, let's find out. Furthermore, she had never thought of announcing her charity to the outside world before, and just did it silently, but now that she has investigated it, she doesn't hide it anymore. Director Guo thought that they were just a unit and came to investigate the accounts. It was reasonable for the other party to ask a lawyer to be around. Okay, Director Guo said, what time do you think is more suitable for us to investigate? Well, let's do it in the afternoon, He Tian said, I will call the lawyer now and ask him to go to my studio. There is my accounting team and audit team there, which are responsible for the accounts of my various industries. Director Guo was very happy to see He Tian so cheerful and said, thank you for your cooperation. You're welcome, this is a citizen's duty, He Tian said modestly. No matter what the other party did, she remained unmoved. Because I have done nothing wrong, I feel at ease. As for the properties in Nanji, He Tian has also sorted them out in the past few days, especially the house he bought. Because the US dollar was not cost-effective at that time, he used the method of property rights swap. Fortunately, I didn't save money at that time, but hired a lawyer to sign the contract fairly. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1074. 1072. In the afternoon, lawyer Zhang from Hongda law firm has arrived to assist in the investigation. He is responsible for various disputes in He Tian's industries. It is a bit unfair for a barrister to do such a thing, but He Tian is paid a lot and can go to Xiangjiang to study, so lawyer Zhang is happy to work with He Tian. Cooperate. The news had been received on the phone before, and lawyer Zhang was already prepared to accompany these people to check the accounts with He Tian and answer some professional questions. When Director Guo came over in the afternoon, there were 4 people instead of 2. These 2 people are responsible for checking the accounts, but He Tian has a lot of properties, and they will not be able to check them all in a while. Lawyer Zhang drank tea with Director Guo and asked, I am He's lawyer. I would like to ask how long it will take to complete the investigation. They are all professionals. We only review the sources of income from the accounts, so it should be very quick, Director Guo said. After all, he had already received the information from above. When checking the accounts, the big things were reduced to trivial matters. "Thank you," Lawyer Zhang said, "every investment made by MS has been witnessed by me. As for the income, taxes were paid normally, and there was no tax evasion." "Well, that's good." Director Guo smiled, then picked up the teacup and drank tea, not wanting to continue talking. After Huo Yingzhi got off work, he got someone from the servant to check the accounts, so he came over in person. Huo Yingzhi sat next to Director Guo. Although Huo Yingzhi had a good attitude, he always made Director Guo uneasy. "Reporting with a real name, slandering my father and causing reputational damage to my father and wife, what should I do?" Huo Yingzhi asked. He was by He Tian's side and could often comfort He Tian, but his father was in Nanxi, and he must have been worried about it in his heart. "Be miserable. We have to protect the legitimate rights and interests of the whistleblower." Director Guo was slightly startled and said something like snake oil. "Then who will guarantee the legal rights of my father and wife?" Huo Yingzhi asked. "His father worked hard for Su province, and his wife He Tian did business, and most of the money she earned was used for charity. And did not enjoy it alone. They are all good people, why should they be slandered and questioned? Yes, my client is a legal businessman. Shouldn't the state also protect the legitimate rights and interests of businessmen?" Lawyer Zhang asked rhetorically, hoping that Director Guo would take a stand. Director Guo secretly complained, "This is really not a good job. Those people didn't dare to come, so they called him, an honest man, over to investigate. Haha, if MS or Mr. Huo have been wronged, we will clarify it to the party and the people," Director Guo said, "and we will try our best to make up for it when the time comes." It wasn't until around 10 o'clock in the evening that the two accountants barely finished reviewing the accounts. The investment accounts were cleaned, and there were no improper transactions behind closed doors, the staff said, but they were also surprised that MS earned so much every year. No wonder someone reported her and made people jealous. "But I found that two huge sums of money are transferred out every month," another staff member said. "He is responsible for expenditures." He Tian took a look, and then said to her staff nearby, "Bring over the charity work account and let the investigators take a look." "Yes, teacher." The staff member took out several ledgers. When the staff saw it, they looked at each other. The two sums of money actually went into the accounts of the Veterans Fund and the Spring Rain Project. These are two private charity funds that spontaneously help veterans of the anti-Japanese war and those left behind in other countries, as well as those who have dropped out of school. Children in remote mountainous areas. More than 3 million yuan is invested every month. This amount is simply an astronomical figure for them who only have a salary of 300 yuan a month. At this time, these investigators looked at He Tian with admiration. With the opening up of the domestic economy, some people have become rich first, but no one will use more than half of their income to do charity or good deeds. This is not a temporary account, they have been doing it for several years. We have completed the investigation and there are no problems with Yanjing's Industries, Director Guo said. Tomorrow, we can go to Nanxi together. As long as the relevant industries investigate the source and destination, we can give an explanation to MSE and senior official Su. Thank you for your hard work, He Tian said. I'm going to take leave tomorrow morning and will take the afternoon train. Thank you for your cooperation. Director Guo was very polite. No wonder the people above asked him to be polite, so he just did these things. Which of these things is not beneficial to the country and the people? Every account of the company is very clear and has a clear source. Director Guo left with his subordinates. Lawyer Zhang chuckled and said, I'll go there with you tomorrow. Thank you, Lawyer Zhang. He Tian chuckled. If there is anything I am not suitable to say in the future, please ask Lawyer Zhang to worry about it. It is my duty to safeguard the interests of my client. Lawyer Zhang smiled. It's getting late, I should go back. After saying goodbye to each other, He Tiantian asked everyone to get off work. Huo Yingzhe and He Tiantian were sitting in the car. He Tiantian was a little tired and leaned against Huo Yingzhe. I'd better call the lawyer in Xiangjiang early tomorrow and ask him to come over, He Tiantian said. After all, we did a property rights swap transaction before. Although we have various certificates, we still have to wait for him to come over. Come here with the lawyer and feel more at ease. Huo Yingzhe nodded. You should come. I'll ask for leave tomorrow and go with you. Okay, He Tiantian agreed. At this time, she was not pretentious because she really wanted to be with her husband and feel more at ease. The next day, He Tiantian sent a telegram to Xiangjiang and brought all the documents. Sure enough, when we arrived in Nanji, someone started talking about He Tianatian's properties. After checking that all the accounts were normal, someone mentioned the shop He Tiantian bought in Nanji and the house by Suanwu Lake, saying that He Tiantian coerced the elderly to buy the house at a very low price. In front of everyone, He Tiantian took out the previously signed contracts and notarizations, as well as the property rights certificates for the houses on both sides. The Xiangjiang lawyer who was in charge of this transaction will come to Nanji tomorrow and he will explain it to the unit, He Tiantian said. Fortunately, he had made complete preparations, otherwise he would have lost his wife and lost his troops. Well, that's the best, Director Guo nodded. When He Tiantian took out these certification documents, he already believed most of them. As of now, all of He Tianatian's properties have been made public. While many people marveled that He Tiantian was a genius in business, they even envied the Huo family. With such a golden doll, who would take bribes and embezzlement? Isn't this stupid? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1075. 1073. Early the next morning, Lawyer Ming rushed from Xiangjiang excitedly, bringing his own certification documents, as well as the original transaction documents of the housing office in Xiangjiang, etc. All supporting documents and accounts from top to bottom have been checked. Director Guo read the original document, made a copy, and went back to have a meeting to summarize the investigation. In Nanji, He Tiantian not only had income from Sanfenqiao, but also received dividends from Wuyaliang solar and other water heater factories. The biggest income was the dividends from Fuxi Automobiles shares. The working group has been here for more than 10 days because of Mr. Huo's matter, and now they finally have a clue. After seeing these documents, everyone fell silent. All sources of income of Ms. He are very clear, and she is also a socially responsible businessman, an excellent athlete, etc. Let's end this matter here, said Wang Shan, the general manager. We should respect such good comrades. Yes, team leader Wang, Director Guo said. Now should we clarify this for Mr. Huo in front of the staff of Jiangsu province? Wang Shan was stunned for a moment, thought for a while, and nodded. This is what we should do. We cannot let such good staff work hard and end up with a loss of reputation, and we cannot let a patriotic businessman like Ms. He feel cold. Wang Shan's father went to the Sichuan army in Southeast Asia during the anti-Japanese war, and there was no news after liberation. He has been trying to bring back his father's bones through state channels, but has never been successful. Last year, through various relationships, the Veterans Fund overcame many difficulties and brought back some living elderly people from Myanmar who were living abroad and allowed them to return to their hometowns and reunite with their relatives. Wang Shan learned from an old man that his father had been sacrificed and told him where his father was buried. With the help of the Veterans Fund, his father's bones were found and shipped back. The old father finally returned to his hometown. Although the mother was very sad, it was a comfort to the whole family to be able to bring his father back. So as soon as he heard that Ms. He was the largest sponsor of the Veterans Fund, Wang Shan had some new views on the matter. After completing the inspection, the working group clarified the matter in front of the Jiangsu province staff. The rumors outside were reduced because of the clarification from the inspection team. The common people don't know the truth, and they don't understand Huo Jekan, so some people always choose to believe Huo Jekan, and some people criticize Huo Jekan. Our Mr. Huo, the former Mayor Huo, has made great contributions to our Jiangsu province. Now our economic development ranks first in the country. That is not something ordinary people can do. Yes, Mr. Su has been in charge for the past 10 years. Our province's economy has developed very well. People's incomes have increased and their lives have improved. Yes, the houses are getting taller and the roads are getting wider. Haha, who knows if they are taking advantage of this opportunity to make money. Their family has so much money. Yes, the staff now are different from those before. That's right, 3 years to clear the magistrate's office, 100,000 snowflakes and silver. Okay, Mr. Huo is good. Even if he makes money, he is really doing things for the people. We people also welcome him. What we people like the most is the kind of people who just take money and do nothing, and they will bully and cause harm. People's staff. We ordinary people don't know about the things in the officialdom. Anyway, whoever can make us live a good life is a good person. Our Jiangsu province is not the best in the country in terms of economy, education, and public security. So don't listen to the wind, slandering Mr. Su. Mr. Huo's daughter-in-law makes money by doing business. She opened the Sanfan Kiao restaurant. It tastes so good. Anyway, if I don't eat the braised pork there for a few days, I will panic. She is making money from the people. But most of the money has been used to support education in Jiangsu province. I heard that hundreds of primary schools have been built in rural areas. Everyone was talking a lot, although some people spread rumors. The people were not fools. Over the years, their income and life have undergone major changes, and their surrounding environment has also become much better. They are very grateful to Mr. Huo. Public opinion gradually favored Huo Jekan. Public opinion in Yanjing, after Lao Guo investigated the main sponsors of the Veterans Fund and the Spring Rain Project, almost everyone shut up. The Spring Rain Project is to train the next generation in remote mountainous areas of the country. Veterans Fund, that's a good way to show favor to the military. If anyone continues to make irresponsible remarks, it is estimated that the Education Department and the military will come forward. Huo Jekan's incident only spread in a small area and was not known to the people below. As for Jiangsu province, public opinion has turned to the good side, which has made Huo Jekan even more famous. Mr. Huo's connections are indispensable on the Yanjing side, and Huo Yingzhe is indispensable on the Nanji side to add fuel to the flames. In general, after this incident was over, Huo Jekan's official reputation was not affected, but Huo Jekan's political achievements were even more highlighted. At the same time, it may also be to compensate Huo Jekan. The inspection team has a very high evaluation of Huo Jekan. If he takes another step forward, he will be worthy of his reputation and make people convinced. Not only his political achievements, but his moral character can only be praised. The big leader once praised him in front of everyone for being a good public servant to the people. This also made everyone see clearly the importance of Huo Jekan at the top. However, the second wave of attacks by Mr. Zheng started when the first wave of dirty water was in full swing. However, the people they bribed could not get close to the laboratory even if they entered Huo Yingzhe's research institute. They were arrested before they took any action. This research institute was firmly controlled by Huo Yingzhe, and there was no leakage of secrets. Because Huo Yingzhe's Material Research Institute undertakes a lot of research and development work on important military materials every year, and can provide a lot of precious materials every year. These technologies are not only blocked from each country internationally, but some are not available abroad. Combined with Huo Jekin's false accusation and Huo Yingji's Research Institute's frame-up, let everyone know that this was premeditated and planned. So the above specially set up an investigation team to investigate this matter in person. Framing the pillars of the country is also hindering the country's progress, especially for economic reform pioneers like Huo Jekin and scientific research geniuses and experts like Huo Yingji. No matter which one is lost, it is a loss for the country. In addition to the operation of the Huo family, many people were caught and deserved punishment. This time, the Zheng family, which had finally recovered, suffered another heavy blow. Of course, the other three people did not benefit either, and the whole family was affected. Please subscribe to the genuine version. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1076. 1074. Through this time, they also realized that they could not stop Huo Jekin from taking over, so they could only continue to lie dormant. Politics is like this. There is never a complete victory or a complete failure. It is always the product of a compromise of the interests of all parties. The Zheng family once again had to choose to lie dormant and wait for the opportunity. However, the Huo family was not prepared to let go of the Zheng family this time. Several young members of the Zheng family got into trouble one after another, ruining their career. It would be even more difficult for them to get back on their feet in the future. Without successful descendants, the Huo family will never be a success again. He Tiantian and Huo Yingji sat opposite Huo Jekin and Zhang Lifang, and the family gathered together. Mom and Dad, I've made you feel wrong this time. He Tiantian got up and apologized to her father-in-law and mother-in-law. Huo Jekin smiled and said, Tiantian, this has nothing to do with you. It's me who has caused you trouble. Those people are not dealing with you, but they want to deal with me. Yes, Tiantian, our family's living standard has been so good these years, all thanks to you. Your father-in-law and I are not indiscriminate people, so don't think too much about it. Our Huo family has a good business and can sit well. Straight, don't be afraid of those villains, Zhang Lifang persuaded. She knew that He Tiantian was in business before, but she didn't know that it was so big and that she had done so many good things quietly. Zhang Lifang is very happy to have such a daughter-in-law. Haha, Tiantian, your mother-in-law is right, don't think too much. Huo Jekin said with a smile, you should go back to Yanjing tomorrow and tell your grandfather and grandmother that we are fine. The child also needs your care, Yingji. We have to work and Tiantian has to train, so we are very busy. After more than half a year, our family can be reunited in Yanjing. Well, we'll go back tomorrow. Huo Yingji said, Dad, Mom, you have to take care of yourself. The matter can be resolved satisfactorily, and He Tiantian can finally go back with peace of mind. After arriving in Yanjing, the couple went directly to the Huo family's old house and explained the situation to their grandfather and grandmother. Okay, I can feel completely relieved that Jekin's side can go through smoothly. Mrs. Huo said, finally, there is no danger. So when you are a person and do things, you must be worthy of your own conscience and not violate the law before you can leave. Further, this time, if Huo Jekin or He Tiantian makes some mistakes, they will be magnified infinitely and cause irreparable impact. After all, there are people behind it who are adding fuel to the flames and making deliberate plans. Yes, this time my father's reputation in Jiangsu province is even higher, which can be regarded as a blessing in disguise. Huo Yingji said, Grandpa, Grandma, don't worry. When uncle and aunt come back in the evening, you can tell them. Yes, I understand. Mr. Huo nodded, the matters at your research institute have been resolved. Do what you should do and don't feel burdened. Yes, grandfather. Huo Yingji agreed. Those things were arranged by him in advance, so he was not worried. Haha, you guys came here as soon as you got off the train. Let's eat quickly so you can go home. Mrs. Huo smiled and ordered the nanny to start serving food. After dinner, He Tian Tian hurried home to spend time with her children. Fortunately, Grandma Wang and Lu Wangxia were always there, so the child was well taken care of. During the time when He Tian Tian and Huo Yingjia were away, Qi Xiaoyan, Qi Jinmin and others often came over to stay with the children. Hearing that He Tian Tian was back, Qi Xiaoyan called a few people and asked everyone to come here together. Sister Tian Tian, who reported it, Qi Xiaoyan asked, a little angry. Fortunately, the truth came out this time, otherwise she would really believe that good people will not be rewarded. He Tian Tian smiled and said, speak up and you will know Li Mingkai. Li Mingkai, Kui Ying was stunned. How could that person be related to this matter? Haha, originally there was nothing wrong with him and he was suspended without pay, but he went out of his way to flatter people, saying that he had a good relationship with my family and that he and I were from the same countryside. After that, the leaders above him really began to value him, so this year, he said that he had a great achievement and promised that after he completed it, he would become a school leader below, so this man was dazzled. He was given this information and he did it? He Tian replied, I wonder if Li Mingkai regrets being used as a gunman now. Although Li Mingkai has a bad character, he is not stupid. Qi Xiaoyan said, how can you not see that others regard him as a gunman? He Tian smiled and said, sometimes, even if you know, you will still do it. Then Li Mingkai may know, but there is nothing he can do. So how is Li Mingkai doing now? Qi Xiaoyan asked, has he been punished for the false accusation? Yuan Hua, Zhang Wenwen and others also wanted to know. He just reported it and did not break the law, so there is no legal system to punish him. However, because of this incident, people who know about it will no longer use Li Mingkai. Li Mingkai will probably work in that position as a clerk until he is old. If he is safe, He Tian said that the Huo family would not retaliate against Li Mingkai. On the contrary, they would protect Li Mingkai from being killed by those who slandered the Huo family and said that the Huo family retaliated against the whistleblower. Thinking of this, He Tian felt aggrieved. Hey, it seems that we will be more careful in our actions in the future. We must not evade taxes, let alone break the law. Yuan Hua said, only if he is innocent, others will not be able to frame him. Yes, we should also learn some experience. Wang Ying said, there are many villains in the world, and various interests are intertwined. If you are not careful, you will fall into the trap of others. We are all businessmen with good intentions and abiding by the law. As long as we do our part, we will be fine. He Tian said, this time, the Huo family can survive safely because I have most of the money in my hand. I went to do charity and gained favor. Well, yes, the money we earn is enough for us to spend. It is indeed good to do some charity. Qi Jinmin said, I will continue to do charity in the future. At this time, Wang Ying remembered something she had encountered when she was a doctor. Tian, I used to be a doctor. I saw some children lose their lives and ruin their lives because they had no money and no treatment. Wang Ying said, those children can actually recover after treatment, and they can still have good health, a great life. He Tian listened and nodded. We are all mothers and know the importance of children to a family, but some families really can't afford these expenses, as well as those children with disabilities and deaf-mute children. If they are well taught and taken care of, their situation can be improved. I have thought about it before, but I am a little busy and don't have time to do it. If you want to do it, I will pay for it. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1077. 1075. If it wasn't a good thing, He Tian wouldn't look for her. Furthermore, He Tian told them in advance years ago, and they decided to invest after careful consideration. I'll pay for it too, Qi Xiaoyan said. She invested with He Tian and made a lot of private money every year. When her two sons and husband make money, they should do good deeds and pray for their families. Qi Jinmin was about to give birth, and Yuanhua also found out that she was pregnant, so she felt the same way and agreed. Wang Ying was very happy to see that her suggestion was approved by everyone, and she was one step closer to her goal. She said, "It is a bit difficult for us to find those children one by one. How about we start from Yanjing's welfare for disabled children home, orphanage? When we find a more effective method and develop more staff and volunteers, we will develop it elsewhere." "Well, not bad," He Tian agreed. "Since we are all together, why not just think of a name?" Yuan Hua thought for a while and said, "Every child is an angel sent by God. Let's call it Angel Charity Fund. How about it?" Qi Zhenmin nodded and agreed, "Very good, this name is very good." Yuan Hua got the name and it was unanimously approved by everyone. Tang Qian came to take Qi Zhenmin home. On the way, Qi Zhenmin told Tang Qian about this. "You women are so capable," Tang Qian said, "however, you are all kind-hearted. Since we have the ability, we should help those poor children as a blessing for our unborn child." "Well, I think so too," Qi Zhenmin said. "Tang Qian, go and complete the relevant procedures." "No problem," Tang Qian said with a smile. "When my entertainment company makes money, I will also divide some of the profits and inject them into the Angel Rescue Fund." After the women returned home, they discussed it with the men at home. That's the money women make from their own business. As long as they want it, the men don't have any objections. After that, Wang Ying and Tang Qian started working on this matter together. Although the Snake King did not help, he had been paying attention to the previous affairs of the Huo family. After the matter was over, King Snake realized that the Huo family was pretty good. At the same time, he also remembered that wasn't Li Mingkai the educated youth from Qijia village? That Li Mingkai, he was clever but was misled by his cleverness, and his mind was not right, the Snake King said, always thinking about taking shortcuts, but not thinking that sometimes there are more traps in shortcuts. Free lunches are often the most expensive. Yes, it's like hunters always set traps on the way their prey must go to the river. At this time, if you take some detours, you can escape, He Tian said. Such a person thinks that very clever, but just a little clever. By the way, I remember there is another woman who is similar to him. What is her name? The Snake King knows a lot about He Tian's affairs and his own affairs, but he doesn't care too much about other insignificant people. Superior. Lin Ziru, you are also a troublemaker, He Tian said. Although this woman was not directly involved in this matter, her unclear relationship with Li Mingkai should be inextricably linked. Now it has been with countermeasures, it is impossible for these people to be reused. They are just being used, and they do not know the secrets of the Huo family, so even if they are used to spread rumors, it will not be a big deal. Oh, that's it, the Snake King nodded. As long as there is no threat, although the Huo family has gotten into trouble this time, it has also shown its integrity. It is estimated that no one will judge the Huo family financially in the future. Yes, let's just consider it a blessing in disguise, He Tian smiled. However, I still felt quite aggrieved at the time. This is what humans say, people in the world can't help themselves, the Snake King said. The Huo family is in the officialdom. If there are allies, there will be enemies, so it is inevitable. Yes, so we are very cautious, He Tian said. By the way, there are a lot of things going on at home during this period, and I didn't pay much attention to your affairs. How are you? I'm pretty good. The people Tang Qian arranged for me are very capable. Now I just need to do catwalks. Many crews have approached me to film TV series, but I rejected them all. I think they are too tacky and not as cool as foreign countries, the Snake King said critically. That's it, I like it very much. The movie I'm shooting now is indeed not about you, He Tian smiled, looking at the sword-browed and starry-eyed Snake King. He should be starring in those fairy-like movies. However, the current special effects technology is not mature enough and may not be possible. If you like acting, you can do martial arts dramas, he Tian Tian suggested. After all, you can only work as a model for a few years, which is not a long time. Even if you stay young forever, you can't work for a long time, otherwise you will cause problems. Observers at home and abroad may even capture you and study it in the laboratory. After the matter was over, he Tian Tian had time to joke with the Snake King. The Snake King shrugged and said, "You're right, I quite like the current entertainment industry. But I only know how to show off, not acting. It's easy. You can take the time to go to the acting department of the film school to study acting." He Tian Tian smiled and said, "I used to be a teacher in that school. If you really want to go, I will do it for you." "Okay, just sign up for a class for me, or just be an auditor," Snake King said. "When the time comes, I can become a big star." With the Snake King making jokes in the middle, He Tianation's mood improved a lot. Huo Yingzhe was not surprised that Snake King became a star. "Aren't you curious at all?" He Tian asked. "You didn't expect that a spirit snake prince would actually want to be a big star?" "What's weird?" Huo Yingzhe smiled. "Li Xian's temperament is that he likes other people's eyes to stare at him. In addition, he is good looking, and every day is lively and exciting. He naturally likes it. If it were someone like me doing experiments every day, I guess he won't be able to stand it for a day." "Well, it may be a matter of personality," He Tian agreed, "but it's a good thing that the Snake King has something he likes to do. Not only is he not boring himself, but he also brings profits to Tang Qian's entertainment company. Now the stall shop open, there are a lot of expenses, and now the only one making money is Snake King. I hope Xiao Yan can sell more cassettes, so that two people can make money, and the pressure on the company can be reduced, and it can also prove that they can make money. The prospects are good, I have the confidence to carry on." "It should be okay," Huo Yingzhe said. "Don't worry about Li Xian. Xiao Yan is not just a popular song, she also has some popular elements and other better songs, which should be very popular in the market. Nowadays, we can't continue to be blatant about love songs, so we choose some more atmospheric, catchy songs with pop elements, which is considered an attempt." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1078. 1076. He Tian started her training life and went to the sports center every day. "I usually pay attention to Snake King and Chi Xiao Yan's acting career, as well as my children's studies, their family's health, and their happy life. The sequelae caused by the previous killer were almost all forgotten. After all, He Tian has always had a big heart and is happy every day. These things are not something she can handle. If someone goes back to deal with them, she doesn't need to worry." Then, in June, there was a competition in Guangzhou, and He Tian went with the team members to warm up for next year's Olympics. Although this competition is not the World Championships, it is also the first time that China has hosted an international swimming competition. The result of the game was very good, which made Zhu's Hitao very relieved. Fortunately, what happened before did not affect He Tian. At the same time, Coach Wu and Zhu's Hitao are most concerned about He Tianation's age, which will affect He Tianation's performance. Fortunately, the current position is still in good condition. He Tian also understands the coach's worries, but she doesn't say much, trains and competes more attentively, and tells them with actions that there is no need to worry. Went home immediately. He Tian got on the arranged bus and headed to the train station. She liked to sit by the window and saw a little boy chasing the bus, running and watching the bus go further and further away. The little boy cried anxiously. He Tian looked a little unbearable. This child was smaller than her son and daughter, very thin, and the clothes were a little torn, but very clean. "Master, Can you pull over and stop the car? I have something to do, he Tian said. Since she saw it, she couldn't ignore it. But after parking, we may not be able to catch the train. The driver was a little embarrassed, not wanting to delay a whole car of people just for one person. Put me down and I'll go back to Yanjing by myself, he Tian said, because she just saw the little boy fall down, but he got up and continued chasing. She especially wanted to know why the little boy kept chasing the bus car. This is very dangerous. Wei Yuan was a little curious, but she also knew that he Tian must have a reason, and said, Master, listen, we have something to do, and then we will return to Yanjing by ourselves. Kui Ying has already started to get things. Zhu's Hitao asked, why don't you go back together? The last time he Tian acted alone, the plane crashed, which made him and Coach Wu worried for many days. There are some things, he Tian said, I want to get off the car. Zhu's Hitao was worried and said, okay, I'll follow you down and then we'll go back to Yanjing together. No need, Coach Zhu, I have bodyguards, he Tian said. That won't work, I have to follow, Zhu's Hitao insisted. Master driver, stop for a moment. The driver had no choice but to stop and let the four of them get off. He Tian carried her bag and walked back, trying to get to the child quickly. Zhu's Hitao and others didn't understand, but they had to keep up. The child fell down again. Maybe his legs were too painful and he didn't have the strength to get up. Instead, he kept crying. His voice was very miserable, which attracted many people's attention. He Tian ran to the child and asked kindly, Kid, where did you fall? Auntie will take you to the hospital. The little boy was surprised when he heard the sound and took away his dirty little hand that was wiping his tears. Are you, he Tian, the little boy asked stammering, with surprise in his eyes. Yes, I am, do you know me? He Tian was a little surprised. At the same time, she also felt that this little boy was very handsome, good-looking, and a little familiar. Yes, I liked you very much when I was watching your game, the little boy said. Dad, when Grandma beat me, my mother told me that you were my aunt and said that if I work hard, I will be like you in the future. You are just as awesome. Aunt. He Tian was stunned. Where did this relative come from? He Tian looked at the little boy carefully and found that the little boy looked more familiar, as if he could still see a bit of Huo Yingjun. Suddenly, He Tian thought of someone from the Huo family. A person who was once kicked out of the Huo family, Huo Yingqi. Why did you call me aunt? He Tian asked. Did you admit the wrong person? No, my mother told me, the little boy said. My mother didn't let me come, but my father and grandma beat my mother all day long. I wanted to help my mother, but I couldn't beat them. Aunt, you are a relative of my family. You help me, save my mother. He Tian was a little sad. The child was so sensible at such a young age, which showed that he had suffered before. What's your mother's name? He Tian asked, wanting to know more and see how to help this little boy. My mother's name is Yu Wei, the little boy said. Auntie, please save my mother, please. He Tian did not know this woman named Yu Wei. Now that we're down, let's just stick it out and ask what's going on. What's your name? Where is your home? He Tian asked, with several people following her, but she wasn't afraid. My name is Su Jian. Ever since my mother had a car accident, my grandma and father have treated her badly and often refused to give her food, Su Jian said. I often steal food for my mother. A few days ago I gave her something to eat. When I was eating, my grandma caught me and beat me. My mother was locked in the house. I haven't seen my mother for 3 days. After Su Jian finished speaking, tears flowed down again. Then why did you think of coming to me instead of calling the police? He Tian asked, hoping it wasn't Huo Yingqi. Although what Huo Yingqi did was extremely excessive, she was a bloodline of the Huo family after all. If they were really bullied like this, the Huo family would not remain indifferent. In the past 2 or 3 years, her eldest aunt had a good relationship with her, and she would occasionally talk to Huo Yinki, but she did not dare to propose taking Huo Yinki back. But if the eldest aunt knew that Huo Yinki was living like this, she would probably risk her life to take Huo Yinki back. I don't want to think about it anymore, let's go and see if it's Huo Yinki first. Hey, you can call her soft-hearted or you can call her a holy mother. I have called the police before, but the police said it was a household matter and left it alone. Su Jian said, when you were playing, my mother said it was my aunt. But when I asked again, my mother didn't say anything. Later, I secretly read when I look at my mother's photo album, I see a photo that looks particularly like you. Take a look at this one. After saying that, the little boy took out the photo from his arms and handed it to He Tiantian. He Tiantian took the photo and saw a photo of her and Huo Yingjia, Huo Jekan, and Zhang Wenli's family of 4. Seeing this, He Tiantian was already sure that it was Huo Yinki. Whether Huo Yinki asked Su Jian to come here or Su Jian came here himself, she couldn't ignore it. I hope you all can subscribe to the official version. Oh, mathematical intersection symbol. Mathematical intersection symbol, thank you. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 1079. 1077. It's not He Tianatian's mother, but the family relationship. At the same time, He Tiantian also feels sorry for this child. He Tiantian was estranged from Huo Yinki, but that didn't mean that she could just sit back and watch Huo Yinki being bullied and pretend not to know. Is that why she wanted to come over in person? Okay, Xiaojian, take us to your house and let's go see your mother, He Tiantian said. After confirming that it was Huo Yinki, she immediately called Huo Yingjia and asked him what to do. Seeing He Tiantian say this, Su Jian's eyes lit up, as if he had found a savior. Seeing He Tianatian's expression, Wei Yuan, Kui Ying, and Zhu's Hitao behind them guessed that they might really be He Tianatian's relatives, so they hurriedly called a taxi and rushed there according to the address Su Jian said. Xiao Jian, how did you find this place? He Tiantian asked. She didn't believe that a child could find it on his own. Su Jian said a little shyly, I didn't go to school these 2 days. I took the bus here and have been waiting here. I hope I can wait for you. He was really just trying his luck, and he was particularly worried about his mother. In about half an hour, we arrived at an old city. Kui Ying paid the fare and, led by Su Jian, entered a shabby neighborhood. It rained more and there was some water on the ground. Soon we arrived at the door of a 2-story building. Su Jian pushed the door open and walked in. Inside, an old lady was cooking in the yard. Xiao Jian, where have you been? You came back so late. The old woman's voice was a little loud, but her attitude towards Su Jian was not bad. However, she was a little surprised to see several people following Su Jian. Who are you? Why are you following our little Jian? He Tiantian didn't answer, looked around and found that this was just an ordinary small courtyard. Grandma, a relative of my mother's family came to see my mother. Su Jian brought people in with a happy face. When Ms. Su heard this, she immediately widened her eyes and said, your mother's family is all dead. How can you have any relatives? You have recognized the wrong person. Leave now, leave now. As he said that, he picked up a broom on the ground and chased people away. Wei Yuan stood in front of He Tiantian, grabbed Ms. Su's broom, and threw it on the ground. Xiao Jian, take us to see your mother, He Tiantian said, maybe Huo Yinki's situation is really bad. Well, Mom is in that little room. Su Jian pointed to a small wooden room next to the kitchen, a little eagerly. But the door was locked and could not be opened. Grandma, please open the door. I haven't seen your mother for several days. Su Jian said, Grandma, please open the door. Before, when he called his mother outside, her mother could still speak, but now she can't. Su Jian was so frightened that he cried. What are you talking about? Your mother is a lunatic. What should I do if she comes out to bite people? The old woman said coldly. Don't recognize your relatives randomly, leave quickly, leave quickly. He Tian winked at Wei Yuan and asked her to open the door. Kui Ying took out a small clip to unlock the door. Seeing this, Mrsu wanted to stop her, but Kui Ying quickly stepped forward to stop her. Mrsu shouted loudly, there is a thief in the house, please come. When people around heard the shouting, they came running over with poles and shovels. Kui Ying had opened the door. In the light coming from the door, she could see a skinny woman lying on a simple wooden bed. Her body was dirty and her eyes were closed. He Tian was stunned. Although the woman was so thin that she lost her shape, she still recognized it as Huo Yingqi at a glance. He Tian stepped forward and put his hand on the woman's nose, still breathing. That's good, not dead. He Tian didn't care anymore and quickly picked up Huo Yingqi and prepared to send her to the hospital. He Tian originally thought it would take a lot of strength to pick up Huo Yingqi, but she didn't expect it to be so light. Oh my god, what did this family do to make a man like this? As Huo Yingqi was once the proud daughter of heaven, even if she changed her name, the Huo family would not care about her, but they would still arrange a job for her so that she could have enough food and clothing. No matter what Huo Yingqi did, the Huo family would not ignore it now that it was in this situation. He Tian took Huo Yingqi out and saw the yard full of people. These people are thieves, they are thieves, Mrsu said loudly, hurry up and arrest them, arrest them. Who are you, robbing people in broad daylight, a middle-aged man said, stepping forward to push He Tian away. Zhu's Hitao stepped forward and stopped him, saying, we are from Su Jian's grandma's family and are relatives of Su Jian's mother. You see, people are like this. We haven't been given food for 3 days. As my mother's family, we can't be sent to the hospital. When everyone heard this, they thought of the Su family's affairs and looked at Mrsu to see what she would say. When Mrsu heard this, she cursed, my daughter-in-law has no natal family, and all her relatives are dead. Don't identify your relatives randomly. They are human traffickers, and they want to rob people. If we are really human traffickers, who would kidnap a dying person? He Tian sneered, I will call the police now and say that you abused my sister-in-law. Fellow villagers, come and see, my sister-in-law is dying now. Please be kind and make way for us to go to the hospital. If you don't believe us, you can go to the hospital with us, and I can also go to the police station to report the case. When everyone heard this, they thought, yes, Su Jian's mother was about to die, and it was no big deal for them to stop her. Su Jian knelt on the ground with a pop, knelt down in front of everyone, kept kowtowing, and cried, my grandma has not given my mother food for several days and is about to starve to death. Uncle, aunt, and uncle, please get out of the way, let my aunt take my mother to the hospital, they are really relatives of my mother's family, please. The surrounding neighbors had watched Su Jian grow up, and they all said this when they saw Su Jian. Moreover, Su Jian's mother was indeed unconscious now and no longer stopped her. Seeing that people were about to disperse, Mrsu stepped forward and wanted to hit Su Jian, but was stopped by Wei Yuan. You're a pickpocketing brat, and you actually teamed up with outsiders to bully your grandma. If I had known, I might as well have strangled you to death. Mrsu cursed, feeling a little guilty. When the people around heard what Mrsu said, they thought of Mrsu's usual behavior and dispersed one after another. He Tian hugged Huo Yingqi personally and said to Kui Ying, take Xiaojian with you. If Xiaojian is left behind, he will probably be tortured by Mrsu. Kui Ying led Xiaojian to follow. He Tian was very strong, and it was obvious at this time that he hugged Huo Yingja and left through the alley until he reached the main road. Fortunately, Guangxi is an open and developed city, and there are many taxis on the road. I called 2 cars and went directly to the nearest best hospital. When you get to the hospital, go to the emergency room immediately. He Tian paid the medical expenses, hoping to save Huo Yingqi. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 1080. 1078. This matter has exceeded He Tian's expectations and must rely on external help. Kui Ying, go report the crime, He Tian said. I'll call Yanjing from the hospital. Coach Zhu, go buy some food. Let's have something for lunch. Okay, Zhu's He Tao nodded. Please pay attention to your safety. Don't go anywhere in the hospital now. Yuan, keep an eye on Xiaojian and Tian. Well, I understand, Coach Zhu Wei Yuan said, but she didn't expect that she was really from the Huo family. Things in the world are really too coincidental. He Tian found a phone in the hospital, and the phone was paid. At this time, Huo Yingzhe was at work, and He Tian called Huo Yingzhe's office. Huo Yingzhe happened to be in the office when the ordinary white phone on the table rang. He picked up the phone and said, "Hello, who are you?" He Tian heard Huo Yingzhe's voice and said quickly, "It's me, Tian, I'm calling you in Guangzhou. Yingqi's child came to me and said that her mother was locked up, so I came over to see her. It's really Yingqi. She's weak and is being rescued. This matter concerns my uncle and aunt. I don't know what to tell them. You should tell them. He Tian is the niece-in-law, and matters related to the Huo family's heirs should be handled by the Huo family themselves. She only needs to do her duty." Ah, Huo Yingzhe was stunned. "Are you sure that's Huo Yingqi?" "Yes, sure, I can tell the difference by appearance, and there are family photos of our family, so you'd better hurry up and talk to your uncle and aunt and ask them to send someone over. Also, Yingqi's in-laws are abusing her, and now I don't know whether you are alive or dead. Do you have any friends in the Guangzhou police station? If you have any, say hello. I'm afraid that the Su family will cause trouble and we may not be able to handle it," He Tian replied, a little anxious. "Well, I understand," Huo Yingzhe said. "I'm going to call my uncle now and ask him to go back to the Huo family's old house. As for Yingqi's place, please take care of it." "I will," He Tian agreed. No matter what, Huo Yingqi had tasted the bitter pill and hoped that she could start over again after waking up. They were afraid that the local police station would be biased and the 4 of them would not be able to handle it. Tian, pay attention to safety. I will send someone over right away," Huo Yingzhe said softly. He Tian could rescue Huo Yingqi as soon as possible. "I hope Huo Yingqi will not let down Tian's goodwill." "Yes, I've written it down," He Tian said. "She was not a reckless person, and she was in the hospital, so she should be fine." Huo Yingzhe remembered the Zhuhua hairpin that he had given to He Tian before, and said, "If the situation is urgent, you can use that hairpin to protect yourself." Ah, He Tian was stunned, remembering that the hairpin he carried in his bag was a weapon. "Well, I remembered it, I wrote it down." Putting down the phone, Huo Yingzhe immediately called the Tang family, the Huo family's ally in Guangzhou, Tang Qian's second brother, and asked him to come forward to protect He Tian and his party. The second brother of the Tang family is now a staff member of Guangzhou City. It is a critical time, and Tang Ji often asks Huo Jekan for advice on economic development issues, and he benefits a lot every time. Coupled with the relationship between the two families, he very concerned. After calling Tang Ji, Huo Yingzhe was not worried about He Tian's danger for the time being. Afterwards, Huo Yingzhe called Huo Jekian and told him that he had news about Huo Yingqi and asked him to return to the Huo family's old house. Huo Jekian was a little bitter. He missed his daughter very much, but the events of that year were still vivid in his mind, and it was the old man who spoke, so no one dared to mention it. "It might be better if Yingzhe brings this matter up, maybe there will be a turn for the better." At the same time, Huo Jekian was also worried that something had happened to Huo Yingqi, and he became even more worried. Huo Jekian hurried home. Song Chunli was looking for someone to play cards at someone else's house. When she heard the nanny at home calling, she said, "I have something to do today, so I won't play. We will continue tomorrow." "Chunli, you can't do this. You've always won the money. It's unethical to leave now," another woman said. "I can't let you leave easily." Song Chunli collected the change on the table and said with a smile, "I will invite everyone to drink coffee tomorrow. The nanny at home will come to look for me. My mother-in-law must be in trouble. I can't delay and make her unhappy." "That's okay," the others relaxed. There were also mothers-in-law among them. They knew that mothers-in-law were powerful and they really couldn't delay. Song Chunli took the small bag and left, but she was in a happy mood and had won a lot today. "Hey, Chunli is living a happy life," a woman said. "There are not so many messy things at home, and there is so much money to talk about. The husband and son are all making progress, and the daughter-in-law is not a hindrance." "Haha, don't be envious," a woman sitting opposite Song Chunli shook her head and sneered. "We don't look as good as her, but our children are all around us. But what about her? That stupid daughter is somewhere woolen cloth." When the other two heard this, they agreed and immediately felt at ease. These women are like this. They usually compare everything. As long as they feel that they are better than others, they feel comfortable. If they feel that others are better than them, they feel uncomfortable. Song Chunli hummed a little tune and was a little surprised when she returned home. "Aren't you at work? Are you going home at this hour?" Song Chunli asked curiously. "You shouldn't." Huo Jekian shook his head with a sad expression and said, "Sit down, there is something at home." Her husband's expression made Song Chunli feel bad. Could something have happened to Yingjun? Thinking of this, Song Chunli's heart skipped a beat and she looked at the others nervously. "Yingja, tell me," Mr. Huo said, "what is going on?" Huo Yingja thought for a while and said, "Tian Tian met Yingqi's child Su Jian in Guangxi." Huo Yingja told the story of how the two met, and also talked about Huo Yingqi's current situation. When she heard that Huo Yingqi was rescuing her, Song Chunli trembled all over, unable to sit still and teetering. Seeing this, Huo Jekian stretched out his hand to support Song Chunli and said, "Don't be anxious." Song Chunli calmed down a little, looked at Mr. Huo and Mrs. Huo, choked up and said, "Dad, Mom, that is a piece of meat that fell off my body. Hey, that's also the granddaughter I've loved since childhood," Mrs. Huo said. She didn't feel bad for her, but she was heartbroken by Yingqi. Song Chunli was anxious and said, "Dad, Mom, if Yingqi lived well, even if she lived like an ordinary person, I would not go to her, but she is like this now. Please, let her come back. Please." After Song Chunli finished speaking, she was about to kneel down. The above 2018 words. Recommend my friend Tuanza's new book My Wife Has Turned Dark. Zhou Yanxi, who was blessed by the heavenly officials, had enough of staying in a mental hospital in his previous life. In this life, he just wants to let himself go. Whoever stops, fight against. The delicate daughter wants to counterattack, and the smart girl has more joy. Xianggong, my wife has turned dark, and my husband is so scared. Words are sick, and treatment has been abandoned. Your little master of townhouse has come online with the halo of great blessings. This book is poisonous, please read with caution. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1081. 1079. Huo Jekian quickly grabbed Song Chunli and said, "Don't be anxious yet, it's useless to be anxious." Mr. Huo looked at Huo Yingja and asked, "Yingja, What do you say? He was the one who said those words back then. Now that he wants to change, he also needs to listen to other people's advice, especially the biggest victim. We, the Huo family, naturally cannot be bullied like this. Huo Yingji said. Yinki's life is in danger now, we can't ignore it, and now Yinki has a child. If they grow up in such an environment, it is estimated that their mother and son they won't live long. Dad, let Yinki come back. If she is still as willful as before, I will send her to another place and find someone to take care of her. Just keep an eye on her. At least she won't be bullied. She hasn't eaten for 3 days. Ah. Huo Jekian said, that was his daughter. Even when the family was in the most difficult times, her daughter would not starve for 3 days. Mrs. Huo looked at Mr. Huo expectantly and said, Master, Su Jian's child is a good child. He knows how to protect his mother. We can't let this child stay in the Su family. After thinking carefully, Mr. Huo nodded and said, okay, let her and the child come back. As people get older, their hearts soften. Okay, I'll take Chunli there now, Huo Jekian said excitedly, not caring about work anymore. Uncle, I'd better take my aunt there, Huo Yingji said. It's the time for the National People's Congress. The uncle has a high position and a sensitive status, so he cannot leave without permission. Furthermore, Huo Yingki didn't know when she would recover, so it was more appropriate for him to go. If the eldest brother was here, it wouldn't be his turn, Huo Yingji. The eldest brother is not here, so he has to do this for him. At the same time, he was not at ease with He Tiantian in Guangzhou. He would only feel relieved if he went there in person. Huo Jekian was very moved when he heard this, and then he remembered that he couldn't leave at work. Song Chunli looked at Huo Yingji gratefully and said, Yingji, you and Tiantian are both good friends. In the past, my aunt was petty. I hope you won't be angry with me, and my aunt will never treat you like that again in the future. In fact, Song Chunli has changed a lot in the past few years. Auntie, don't thank me. We are a family and we can't just watch others bully Yinki, Huo Yingji said. I have already booked a flight. Our flight is at 6 o'clock in the evening. When do you think we will leave? Of course, the sooner the better, Song Chunli said. She couldn't wait to visit her daughter. I hope my daughter can survive the dangerous period. Mr. Huo, Mrs. Huo explained, then you go and clean up quickly, Yingji, you will go too, and you will meet at the airport later. When you get there, don't forget to call home often to let us know the news. Yes, I will, Huo Yingji said. I will take care of my aunt, grandfather, grandmother, and uncle on the way. Don't worry, I will definitely bring Yinki and Su Jian back safely. Okay, I'll leave this matter to you, Mr. Huo nodded. It was a rare time for Yingji and Tiantian to care about the blood and family ties of the Huo family. Song Chunli quickly went up to pack her luggage, as well as some supplements for the sick and weak. Huo Yingji also went home to tidy up a little. He had already taken leave before because the project had entered a stable period. Zhou Yuancheo's presence can ensure the smooth progress of the experiment, so it is easier for him to ask for leave. In the evening, Huo Yingji, Song Chunli, and 4 guards boarded the plane and embarked on a journey to Guangzhou. By the way, after He Tiantian made the call, she, Wei Yuanyuan and Su Jian were waiting at the door of the emergency room. Waiting anxiously. Even though they were hungry and Zhu's Hitao bought food, they didn't eat much. Kui Ying went to call the police and came back an hour and a half later, but the lights in the emergency room were still on and she had not come out yet. Instead of waiting for good news from the doctor, Mrs. Su and Mrs. Su's 2 sons arrived, one in his 40s and the other in his 30s. Xiao Jian, come here, one of the men scolded. As if Xiao Jian was disobedient, he would step forward and beat Xiao Jian. Su Jian shrank back in fear and did not dare to raise his head. He was afraid that his father would hit him. He Tiantian protected the child behind her and said, This is a hospital. We will wait until the rescue is completed. No, MRSU said, we don't care whether the woman inside is dead or alive. You have to give us Xiaojian. She is the blood of our Su family. Since Huo Yingqi was in a car accident, the other party paid a lot of money, but MRSU did not treat Huo Yingqi properly. Before she was cured, she was taken home and saved the money to build a big house. As a result, Huo Yingqi's legs did not receive proper treatment and became lame and unable to work. MRSU didn't want to see Huo Yingqi even more. Then MRSU's son, Su Jian's father, Su Keifa, saw that Huo Yingqi became a cripple, so he fell in love with a coquettish widow outside, and he was eager to get divorced. It's just that MRSU was afraid of getting divorced and her daughter-in-law taking away her things, so she wanted to slowly kill Huo Yingqi. Huo Yingqi knew that this would only lead to death, so she told her child that the champion on TV was his aunt. But after saying that, Huo Yingqi regretted it again. If she went back like this, how could she have the face to face her parents, grandfather, grandmother, and 2 brothers and sister-in-law? It would be better to die. So later, no matter how Su Jian asked, she didn't say anything. That MRSU was not good to her, but she was good to her son. If she died, maybe her son would be able to live a better life. She was the one who usually caused his son to be beaten. He Tian sneered and said, we have examined Su Jian's injuries. He has been abused for a long time. The police are coming soon. Not only did you abuse the older ones, but also the younger ones. The police will question you carefully. Upon hearing He Tian talk about the police, MRSU was proud. She raised her face and nostrils to He Tian and said arrogantly, haha, my eldest son Su Kaiming has many connections here, so our family is not afraid. Su Kaiming stood beside his mother, as if to support her. He Tian looked Su Kaiming up and down and said, since you work at the police station, you must have some discernment. We are not ordinary people. This big and small have been abused by you. If you hurt me again, you will don't even think about it. Fart Su Keifa scolded, this is the territory of our old Su family. You, a foreigner, want to bully our locals. You are really overestimating your capabilities. Hurry up, Xiaojian, come here. But come here, Dad will meet you later, kill you. Su Jian was so frightened that his father often beat him until his whole body ached. He Tian tightly protected Su Jian and said, if you dare to take action, I will make your life worse than death. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 1082. 1080. After saying that, He Tian took out a beautiful zeoflower hairpin from her bag. Wei Yuan and Kui Ying stood in front of He Tian to protect He Tian. Seeing this, Su Kaiming hesitated. Kaiming, what are you afraid of? That little bitch doesn't have a natal family, so she must have recognized the wrong person. MRSU said, bring me Xiaojian quickly. Su Kaiming listened and said, Su Jian is our Su family. If you don't let him go, it will be child trafficking. This is a serious crime. That's my nephew. Even if I enter the police station, I'm not afraid. He Tian said, you are a policeman. Your mother is about to torture someone to death. Why don't you save her? A typical example of knowing the law and breaking the law. Don't give up the toast and eat the fine wine. Call the children over quickly, Su Kaiming said. He was wearing casual clothes today, not a police uniform, so his attitude was even worse and he was not afraid of any bad influence. In order to maintain his image, he cannot be so arrogant. Brother, why are you talking so much nonsense? Just force yourself over here, Su Keifa said hurriedly, everyone over there is waiting. What are you waiting for? He Tian was stunned. These people obviously don't love children very much, but they are eager to have children. There must be another reason. Suji uncautiously said from behind, and, I heard my father and grandma last night saying that they would give me to a family in Xiangjiang, and they would get 100,000 yuan. Hearing this, He Tiantian became even more angry and cursed, it seems that you are just trying to catch a thief. You yourself want to sell the child, and you also want to slander us. No matter what today, we cannot let you take the child away. When the Su family's mother and son heard Su Jian's words, they wanted to eat Su Jian. That's 100,000 yuan. They work hard for several years before they can earn 100,000 yuan. Besides, if that woman dies, Su Keifa will definitely marry another woman and have children in the future. Su Jian lives a good life with his father, a wealthy businessman in Xiangjiang, for his own good. Don't listen to the kid's nonsense, Su scolded, be enlightened, develop, and get the kid over to me quickly. They can't delay. The sooner they deal with it, the better, so as not to cause problems and lose both people and money. Su Kaiming and Su Keifa stepped forward to rush over. Wei Yuan raised her foot and gave Su Keifa a heavy kick. Su Keifa fell to the ground. Su was so angry when she saw her son being beaten that they usually bullied others, how could anyone dare to bully them? Kaiming, you are awesome, beat you blind sons of bitches to death, Su cursed, pointing at Wei Yuan, wishing she could eat Wei Yuan. Su Kaiming saw that these people were all practitioners, and they would be beaten after they went up. You are very powerful, but this is my territory, Su Kaiming. Don't leave, just wait for me, Su Kaiming said. There was a police station not far away. He knew the people inside, so he went to borrow a few people from there. Put away these little sharpies. Su Kaiming ran away to move reinforcements. A good man does not suffer immediate losses. Su and Su Keifa didn't dare to stay here anymore and followed her eldest son out in embarrassment. Seeing the people leaving, Su Jianke walked out from behind He Tiantian and said, thank you, aunt. If it weren't for you, I would have sold it to someone else today, and my mother would have starved to death, and my father would have married the widow was said to be pregnant. He Tiantian was stunned and asked, Xiao Jian, how do you know so much? Su Jian said, I usually sleep on grandma's bed. Dad always discusses everything with grandma. In fact, I am not asleep. I pretend to be asleep. Dad said that anyway, he would have a son soon, but he missed this opportunity. Just missed out on $100,000. When Su Jian said this, he was very sad and disappointed. Although Su Jian is young, he has been very sensible since he was a child, so he is also very smart. Don't be afraid, you still have many relatives, He Tiantian said. Don't be afraid, your uncle will be here soon, and he will definitely help you teach these people who bully you. Yes, Su Jian nodded. He never wanted those people to hit his mother and him again. After saying that, Su Jian lowered his head and shed 2 lines of tears. In the emergency room, rescue operations continued, and nurses came out from time to time. He Tiantian asked, but the nurse didn't answer. All we can do is continue to wait. About half an hour later, Su Kaiming and Su Keifa came again, accompanied by several people in police uniforms. When He Tiantian saw this, she felt bad and asked Huo Yingjia to bring in reinforcements, but no one has been seen yet. Someone reported you for abducting children, come with us for examination, one of the middle-aged men with a fat belly and a round waist said loudly. He had just received benefits from Su Kaiming, so he naturally wanted to serve others. Su Kaiming followed Director Du, feeling very proud. Now he should be afraid. Su Keifa was even more complacent and said, give us the child quickly, otherwise you will become human traffickers and we will put you in jail. Su scolded, a few little bitches still want to imitate others and become human traffickers. If they look so good, they might as well become chickens and make more money than this. He Tiantian was a little angry, but she also knew that it would do no good to talk too fast now. At this time, Zeus Hitao took out his coaching certificate and said, "We are coaches and athletes of the national swimming team, not human traffickers. This is my work certificate." Du Changhe was stunned when he heard this, and looked at Su Kaiming. Could it be that he had offended someone he shouldn't have offended? "Brother do you believe what the traffickers said?" Su Kaifa said, "My son is behind that woman. They are a group of strangers who have robbed my son. You have to help me get my child back." Director Du thought of the 20,000 yuan and nodded, "Of course, the child is the flower of the motherland. I will do my best. You guys go up and rescue the child." Several people rushed over like wolves and tigers. Wei Yuan stood in front of everyone, blocking them left and right. "This is a hospital. Patients are being rescued inside. If you want to arrest people, go outside." The nurse came out and shouted loudly. "Get out of the way. We are catching traffickers," one of them shouted angrily and pushed the little nurse away. He Tian pushed Su Jian back. If those people came in front of her, she would definitely poke them with the hairpin in her hand and knock them out. Su Jian was so scared that he cried loudly, not knowing what to do. At this moment, a pair of people rushed in from outside in a hurry. He Tian saw the scene and finally felt relieved. The reinforcements had arrived. Du Changhe and Su Kaiming were stunned, and then they realized that something big had happened. He only brought a few people to show off, and these people were not called by him. Since they were not called by him, they must have been called by the other party. Du Changhe cursed in his heart. This time he was badly hurt by Su Kaiming. He was asking for death, and he had to drag him down with him. "This is Su Kaifa." Su Posa thought it was another helper that her brother had found, and she was even more proud. "None of you can escape, just wait and see."